is good. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the May Indiana Esports Network Coaches Meeting. Just a reminder, please stay on mute, especially if you're Carlos and have trains in the background, until we're done with the recording so that we can have as nice of a recording as possible for everyone watching later uh, while people are, getting ready to wrap up the school year. The meeting agenda is linked in the chat, and we'll keep posting it every now and then just to make sure you can see it. But you can follow along there. Last meeting follow-up was a lot of stuff about finals, um, which we'll kind of debrief in a second. We're releasing calendar and rule sets this meeting, but other than that, there's not a lot to follow up on from last meeting. So we'll just jump into new business. On the note of finals recap, thank you all for participating, those of you that did, and in ways that you did. We are proud of the event that we put on. We think it was a success. There's obviously things that can change. We're learning more every year, and we'll figure out what we can and cannot do. But we think it's the best one that IEN has had to date. I think that's safe to say. There was air conditioning, at least partly, and there was internet. So it's better than some other places we've been in the past. The winners are on the website. There's a Hall of Champions page. If you haven't seen that, check that out. All of your winning schools are there. My wife was the photographer that you saw around that day, and she took pictures. Those are also available on a gallery on the website, so check those out as well if you have not. There's also a feedback form linked there. We've had, I don't know what percentage more feedback than the past, but last year I think we had like 4, and now we have like 70. So we've had a lot more feedback, but we are definitely open for more. So you have one more chance to kind of submit that feedback form. We will be debriefing it in full here within the next month or so as a board. So feel free to share that with others if they haven't seen it. You yourselves are free to give us feedback. I would say you won't hurt our feelings, but you probably will. That's fine. Our feelings are allowed to be hurt. Give us honest feedback so we know how to be better and what you all need from that event. But again, just thank you for everyone who participated. The recordings are also on YouTube mostly. I believe there's still one we're waiting on, but those should be available if they are not already very soon. Into the bulk of new stuff for this meeting. So the updated bylaws and general rules document is linked. You can go ahead and grab that and look at it. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but I will share my screen and we can look just a little bit at it, at a few specific things that we want to cover. It's a little cleaner, you'll notice, a little better organized. There's a change log at the bottom of the now 100-page document, by the way, so you can kind of follow along the iterative process of what's going on in this document. If there's any really important changes, you'll notice them highlighted in red. Let me just find one of those so you can see what that looks like. So just if you're scrolling through and looking for specific things that are changed, the red sections will be very important for you. Default match time. One thing that's changing that I think we forgot to put in the agenda even is we're planning on offering 2 club queue windows for high school next year. So we know for high school clubs, sometimes it was difficult to wait. Some schools wanted to play earlier. We are adding an additional queue time for high school. So there'll be a 4 p.m. Eastern queue time and a 5 p.m. Eastern start time. So you'll be able to join either one, but you should only join one of them on your given match days. So again, the bylaws and general rules document is here. Again, I don't want to go through all of it, but you should at your chance do so. Some highlights from the agenda, just to make sure we know. We are getting rid of Academy. So for those of you that weren't aware, Academy was that league kind of between club and varsity. It wasn't very healthy for most of our game titles. So it didn't really make sense to carry next year. You're allowed to have as many club teams as you like, and with the addition of an additional queue time, we thought Academy was a bit redundant. We know some of you liked Academy because you like the pre-scheduled nature of the matches. Hopefully, the earlier queue can accommodate those schools. We realize it might not for everyone, but again, most Academy divisions weren't healthy enough to carry through anyway, so this is kind of the state of things. As we continue to grow, which by the way, IEN does continue to grow, our prediction is over 150 schools by the start of fall. So that might be something that we revisit in the future, bringing back academy. But for the number of schools we're at now, it doesn't really make sense. We're instituting a forfeit rule for varsity codified in the bylaws. This has actually been in place for a little while, and we've talked about it, but we wanted to make sure that it's overt in the bylaws now. Varsity teams cannot have more than 2 forfeits. And we say varsity team as per title. If that occurs, your school cannot play varsity for the following season in that title. So, as an example, if your Rocket League varsity team forfeits 3 matches for whatever reason, then you will not be allowed to play varsity Rocket League the following season. That's important to note, in particular, due to the Varsity Dues for next year, which we'll revisit. But remember, since varsity will be a feed league or division, you want to make sure you're not forfeiting more than 2 matches, because then you'll forfeit that due that you paid and not be able to compete in varsity for the next split. Also, ISIN players must make game connections on LeagueOS. So we have been talking about this for a while. It has not been mandatory, but it will be mandatory for next year. There's a resource document linked there on how to do that. We're also making a video as well for walkthrough on how to do that. But the basics are your high school players must go into LeagueOS and make a game connection for the game that they play. There's a few reasons for that. One, LeagueOS integrates with the APIs for most of these titles and will pull down stats and eliminate the need for manual score reporting if those game connections are made. So it's a burden off of you and off of us for tracking those stats manually. They will be pulled from the API where available. More importantly, I would argue, is it helps students build up their recruiting profile. And when college coaches are looking at other state leagues, our students are behind those players because their stats are not being tracked on the platform. So if Dylan at UWRF goes and looks at Illinois and sees players, he can see their rank averages, he can see their competition stats, and he looks at people from Indiana and he sees, you played some matches, cool. So honestly, we're doing a bit of a disservice to our players by not having that information available on the recruiting side. So we're just going to mandate it to rectify that issue. It also helps in terms of scouting opponents. So as of now, without game connections, you can try to scout by looking and see who your opponents played. But having those game connections give information to your opponent that makes the scouting experience easier and something that we're looking to do. So make sure you understand what that process looks like. We'll have more documentation again over the summer and as the school year starts, but that's something to keep in mind. It is optional for middle school and for Unified. So you're free to encourage your 13-year-old players to do that, but we are not requiring any middle school players, even the 13-year-olds who are legally of age to do so. It is completely optional and at your discretion.
Quick interjection here about the game connections. One thing that this does really stress is that once a season starts, your players should not be changing account names. When that happens, it will break the game connection, and any of your opponents that try to, because what will happen is, let's say I'm playing you in League of Legends or Valorant, I look through your roster on LeagueOS, I click on the individual players on their Riot accounts, it will try to open up a tracker link of some sort to that account, an op.gg or a Val tracker link, and it will be broken if your player has changed their account name mid-season, which has created numerous issues for us, especially in other titles like Fortnite. So please be, very adamant about your players not making account name changes in the middle of the season. And if they need to do so, maybe due to like an inappropriate name that was discovered only after the fact or something, that should be something that you communicate with IEN and then have updated.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll have more like help sessions with this as well. When we get to registration time, we'll be able to help your students be able to do that. I see I'm getting lots of requests for the Canva documents because I linked the wrong things. So if one of the other board members could go in and grab the public view links instead of the collaborator edit links and replace those in the calendars, that would be great because I grabbed the wrong ones. So those of you that can't view the calendars yet, you will be able to soon, as soon as they fix my mistake. Streaming requirements. So we kind of adjusted the streaming rules in the bylaws and general rules for two different reasons. One, we wanted to better explain the goal behind the streaming rules. I think we did that. The basics are you as a coach are free to spectate your team. Your substitutes are free to spectate your team. Any production students you have running your stream are free to spectate your team, provided some rules about communication are followed. And then what we're going to allow next year is verified streaming programs. So what you'll see in the general rules is a section that has a form that you can fill out. If you stream from a dedicated space that is removed from your players, then you can apply to have the permission to spectate from a generic or, Dylan, what's the word that you used? I don't remember.
For team accounts?
No, for spectating from the generic.
Neutral. I said neutral perspective.
From a neutral perspective. There you go.
It's not quite God mode or whatever.
Right.
Like it's the in lobby spectate that is just kind of like not per team. Which if you play Overwatch, if you play Valorant, you understand. So I just went with the term neutral
There
perspective.
You go. Yeah, and Overwatch and Valorant are the ones that it's most important for probably, but it allows us to produce a better stream. In particular for Overwatch, when you spectate your team only in Overwatch, you can't get rid of that overlay that's over top of the HUD and things like that. So we don't want anyone to be able to do it. You're allowed to apply if you can show that you have a dedicated space that your students won't be, or that your players won't be able to view the stream from. Because we really want to ensure competitive integrity. This is mirroring what all the major collegiate leagues do as well, so we're not reinventing the wheel. But it's our balance of giving you as schools the best opportunity to produce your stream while maintaining competitive integrity. And yes, this is streaming across high school, middle school, and everything. So, generic streaming rules. We still want to host a resource session, I suppose you can call it, on like streaming, how to set it up, the do's and don'ts, how to get going with it. In particular, if you haven't looked at LeagueOS match pages in a while and seen all the streaming assets that are there, take a look. There's a lot there now that is going to really help you produce a really high quality stream. So at some point, we will be able to host a session to help you all with that. Next is the updated one-pagers. The link there is to the folder of all the one-page rule documents. So you are free to peruse that. There are some new ones that you'll want to take a look at, and that'll be more apparent after we go through the calendar on what they are. But in particular, chess and Tetris had format changes. So chess was kind of long every night. We always received a lot of complaints about the duration of chess competitions on any given night. So what we have done is instead of doing a Swiss tournament each week, which was 5 or 6 rounds, we're doing a Swiss tournament over the entire split, over the 6 weeks. So any given week in chess, your student will be matched up with an opponent, and you will only play matches against that single opponent instead of progressing into the next round of the Swiss. And as a result, each round will be best of 3 instead of best of 1. So same format, 10-3 format, except instead of a best of 1, each round is best of 3, and we do 1 round per night. That's explained in the rules, so hopefully that makes sense. Tetris is similar, but still a little bit different. 1 round of Tetris could be 15 minutes. That doesn't feel very good for any given night of competition. So in Tetris, we're doing 3 rounds of Swiss each week, but it will still be a split tournament for the whole semester instead of over individual weeks. Another change there is chess and Tetris will have playoffs. So we're kind of revamping the tournament title to more line up with what we do for team titles. There will not be team portions again, don't mishear me. We're not going back to team competitions for chess or Tetris. But the top 32 individuals for chess and Tetris will qualify for a single elimination playoff. during the normal playoff time that other varsity titles will. So we're also going to host finals for chess and Tetris at our in-person state finals event. Uh, we may go back to semifinals. We'll discuss that and determine. But at least the finals will be in person for chess and Tetris as well. Some of the other one pagers that are different, you'll want to take a look at the Fortnite one pager because we're transitioning Fortnite formats, which we'll talk about when we get to the calendar as well. And Minecraft. Minecraft is undergoing a format change, so make sure you pay attention to the Minecraft rules as well. And I'm scrolling.
Smash.
Smash is also best of three. You're right. I don't see the Minecraft one pager in the folder. Can somebody check? Maybe I'm blind or maybe it's missing.
I will put that in there right now.
Smash Brothers is another point of contention and has been for a while. People hate ties in Smash Brothers, so we're going to a best of three format during the regular season for Super Smash Brothers as well. Yes, it will increase the length of competition, but there weren't complaints about the length of competition. There were complaints about ties. So we're trying this for a year, and we'll see what the feedback is at the end of next school year. But we figured it was worth a try to go to best of threes for Smash Brothers and remove those ties. So that is also reflected in the one pagers as well. For the calendars, IUEN, the unified calendar is there. It's very similar to what it's been in the past. We're doing Rocket League Unified in the fall, following the same schedule as it has. And we're doing Super Smash Brothers Unified in the spring. So if you have never competed in Unified before, basically it's in partnership with Special Olympics of Indiana. It's students with intellectual disabilities as athletes playing with partners who do not have intellectual disabilities on the same team. It's one of my favorite things to watch because there's just a camaraderie that exists between different players. The IMSEN calendar is maybe the wrong link still, is what James is saying. So can we check and make sure that's the public view link? I will also share my screen so we can look at the IMSEN calendar. And the ISEN calendar, the IMSEN calendar, and the unified calendar all follow the same basic structure in terms of these gold important dates. So you can follow along on any of them. Registration opens August 12th. So make sure you have that date on your calendar and on your radar for when you can start registering for that year. Mandatory coaches meetings. So we still will have two next year. The first one will be August 14th. Mandatory coaches meeting means in order to compete in IEN in the fall, you must participate either live in a Google Meet on that day at 8 p.m. or on a subsequent day via an Ed puzzle that Nick will put together where you can verify your attendance and participation by answering the questions in the video. Either one works. Mandatory just means completing one of them, but you must do one of them to be eligible for your program to compete in fall. The registration deadline is earlier next school year. Make sure you note this. We bumped up the registration deadline to September 6th. Yes, that's earlier. The reason we did that is a fewfold. One, with the institution of fees, we need to make sure that we give ourselves time to have that all in place before week one of competition. We also want to try having a more formalized preseason experience for all of you. So during the weeks of the 9th and the 16th, what you'll be able to do is get into LeagueOS and join a system very similar to the Club Q system, and you'll be given a match during those preseason weeks. That will also allow us to set up scrimmage windows throughout the season as well. So during off season, we can say, hey, we're going to open up scrimmage windows for the month of December. If you want to scrim another school, check in during this window and go. So it does afford us a few options. Just make sure that you have that date on your calendar. In middle school, we're doing in the fall Minecraft on Tuesdays, Fortnite Zone Wars on Wednesdays, and Mario Kart on Thursdays. A few things to note. Minecraft is varsity only, and we'll make sure that that's reflected in the rules in the one-pager. So in order to compete in Minecraft, you must be eligible to be a varsity school. Minecraft, the format will no longer be Capture the Wool. It will be Bed Wars. By a large margin, the feedback was that Bed Wars is the more popular format, not just from you as coaches, but from students and just in general in the Minecraft community. CompMC, our partner, supports Bed Wars now. They did not last year, but now that is an option for us. So we are moving to the Bed Wars format. Make sure you check out the rule summary and the one-pager for that information. We're moving Fortnite to a Zone Wars format. So instead of a Battle Royale, which is individual, Zone Wars is a team of 4, and there are 4 teams of 4 competing in each match. So it's 4v4v4v4. I know Anthony did some work on testing that out last year. We've done some other tests. We're actually building our own map, so we'll have full control over what we do. And it should be a really good experience because it exposes the Fortnite players to a team aspect that I think is really valuable for Fortnite players in particular. And yes, I'm showing my bias involving Fortnite players, but I think it's very valuable for us to be able to do that. That being said, we're also still looking at a battle royale that we're going to host for Fortnite, probably monthly, probably on Fridays. We'll get you those details as they come up over the summer. But we know battle royale is still a format that's worth doing, and we're still going to offer that again, hopefully monthly, build and no build each night, just like before, and hopefully open to as many players as want to compete from your school without a numerical limit. So we know that was a point of tension for Fortnite last year. Between going to Zone Wars and allowing Battle Royales, we'll be able to do that and kind of resolve that issue. Mario Kart is an interesting title that we're adding for middle school. Mario Kart is going to be club only. So Minecraft Varsity only, Mario Kart club only, because this is the first time we've done it and we want to make sure we can do it well before we move it up to a varsity title. The key for Mario Kart is you must have 2 Nintendo Switches to support that for your program. So make sure that if you sign up, you have those 2 Switches. You can have as many club teams as you like. You just need 2 Switches per team. Other than that, the format for the middle school calendar is very similar to what you should expect from the past. Remember, in middle school, we do have a playoff in fall. So it's not a year-long season. It is a semester-long season, and we'll wrap up playoffs in December. And then we'll come back in January. Spring registration closes the 10th, same timeline as last year. Yes, we know it's very quick after some of you come back from break, but the spring season is very compact, and we need to have registration then in order to make it all fit. At the middle school level in spring, we're having Super Smash Brothers on Tuesdays. Chess at the middle school level is something we're going to try. There seems to be interest in middle schoolers playing chess, so we're going to try that. It'll follow the same format that the high school does. So your middle school students will be in one best of 3 chess round per week. So maybe it works out great, maybe it doesn't, but it's worth a try, and we're going to try that in spring. And then Rocket League, the Indiana staple, on Thursdays for middle school in the spring. The rest of the calendar very similar to what you should expect. We do have 4 weeks of playoffs scheduled in the calendar because as we continue to grow, we need 4 rounds of playoffs before we get to the championship. So what that means is some games might start or might end a week earlier than others, but we need that flexibility in the calendar as we continue to grow. The in-person state finals event will still be that last Saturday in April 26th for 2025. Location to be determined, but our goal is always to make it as centrally located as possible so that no one has to travel several hours across the state. There's the middle school calendar. The high school calendar should be very similar to what you expect in terms of those important dates, so we'll just go over the titles. So at the high school level, we're playing Valorant and Tetris on Mondays, Overwatch 2 and Chess on Tuesdays, Smash Brothers and the changed format Zone Wars on Wednesdays, Rocket League and iRacing on Thursdays, Minecraft and League of Legends on Fridays. Again, Minecraft is varsity only. iRacing is iRacing. It is unique in the way that it is run, so if you have never been a part of iRacing and want to, we can talk about that. But it is still kind of the individual title that requires a subscription and follows a different kind of schedule and calendar in general. But the rest should look very, very familiar from what we did last
Joe,
year.
can we go back to September really quickly?
Yep.
By the registration deadline on that 6th, all varsity dues are due for placement of making schedules for the season.
Yep. And that'll be part of the LeagueOS registration process, so you'll have that reminder there that varsity dues are due when you register varsity teams. But yeah, same kind of schedule. Spring registration opens in December. It'll close that same day, January 10th. Same games, same nights of the week, going through playoffs, ending in the same day for finals. We're getting there. Title runner interest form. So what we're looking to do is involve more coaches in the day-to-day operation of IEN. So we did this year in terms of chess and Tetris, was run by Ryan from Speedway. We had some collegiate partners run Fortnite. So what we're looking to do is, if you have expertise in a given game, help us run that game on that day. So that can mean talking to coaches that have questions. That can mean providing feedback on rule sets and areas that we might have missed. Eventually, that will mean getting on the back end of LeagueOS and generating some of those matches or making sure things are going well. So if you are interested in that, fill out that interest form. We're looking, and looking is the key word, but I'm hopeful. We're looking to be able to pay a stipend for title runners, for coaches who are helping us out in that way. I think it's reasonable that we do that, and I think we have enough traction to be able to. We can't promise it, but that's our hope and our goal. So if you are interested in helping that way, let us know via that form. And even if you're not ready yet, but you're like, hey, I'm kind of interested, we could have you shadow one of us or another title runner to see what it's like before you hard commit. So just feel free to let us know. Looks like there might be permission issues with that form. Dylan, I saw you made me the owner. If you still have edit perms, you can go do that. If not, I'll go check, or Chris will. We'll get that form permission straightened up. And then varsity dues for next year, yes. So we understand that this is a change. We are prepared to invoice you for those forms probably within the coming weeks, if that's something you want to start working on even before the school year is up. But we'll definitely be able to provide all of that. Yeah, we have W-9s and all of that. We can provide you all that information when we send you the invoice. It'll be hard attached to the invoices as well. So if you think your school is going to take enough time that you want to do that before the registration window even opens up in August, we can set up something where we can provide all that documentation ahead of time. But it's not something you need to worry about until we get to registration in fall. So we will help you work with your school treasurer and whatever you need. Again, if you want to start soon, let us know. We'll come up with some formal way of doing that where we can start sending out invoices. But for sure, once we hit fall into the registration window opening, we'll be able to, at full force, send out those invoices. And I think that's what I have for the meeting. Sorry, this was the long one. Oh yes, the amount is $100 for the whole year for your school. So it's not per team, it's not per semester. It is $100 for your school to be eligible for varsity for the school year. So what that does mean is if you're a club school in the fall and then play varsity in the spring, it'll still be $100 for you for spring, and then you would re-up with the new dues for the next school year. So it is school year based, not calendar year based. It is 8:30. Sorry for a half an hour meeting. We try to keep it shorter than that, but there was a lot of information there. As always, feel free to hang around, ask questions in chat. Once we stop the recording, unmute and let us know. $100 total, yes. Just your school will pay $100 for every team you want to compete in every title you want to compete in. So thank you everyone for a good year and for allowing us to help you offer this opportunity to students. So enjoy your summer. Check out. We'll let you know when important things happen. But we will definitely make an announcement very soon about the invoicing with all the information you can need to start getting that ball rolling even now before school is out. So again, hang out, let us know what you need, but we'll end the recording now and the official meeting, so you're all free to go. Enjoy your summer.